Using private lenders to fund your wholesale deals starts by identifying if the lender is risk adverse or more of a risk taker. I'm going to show you how to identify the type of lender you're dealing with and then tailor your approach to that specific lender. And we're starting right now. What's going on? My name is Tyrus and welcome to another video. And if this is your first time here and you want to learn how to buy wholesale houses and flip them for profit, start now by subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. Not all lenders are created equal. Some are risk adverse while others are more of a risk taker. So you ask the right questions to figure out what type of lender he or she is, and then you tell them what they really want to hear. Leave me a comment below if you're looking for lenders and I'll help you out. All right, let's get started. Okay, so let's think about a job interview. When you go into a job interview, you're going to bring your resume, right? So you're going to bring your resume to the job interview, and let's just say there's lots of experience on your resume. So you go in, you got lots of experience, and more than likely that job interview is going to go pretty well, and you're probably even going to get the job. Now let's compare that to no experience. Let's say your resume has no experience, no real estate experience whatsoever. More than likely, let's just even say that you don't have a resume at all. You walk in and that conversation is not going to go very well, and more than likely they're going to toss you out and you'll never see that person again. So when you're talking to the private lender, you need to consider this somewhat like a job interview. And your resume, actually your flyer, is much like a resume. Your flyer shows your experience, and it shows that you're experienced and you're serious about this particular project, this house, and you're serious about the private lender. So your flyer is very important. And once again, just one flyer per deal. Bring in 3 or 4 flyers representing 3 or 4 of your wholesale deals, and it should go pretty well. All right, so if you are a beginner, you've never flipped a house at all, you're going to need a partner, and you'll use your partner's experience on the flyer. All right, so we talked about this earlier, and one place to find experienced house flippers is at your local REI club. Okay, your local REI club. And when I was in LA, there were actually 3 REI clubs that met every month. And here in Austin, there's actually 3. There's 2 main REI clubs that meet every month. So the REI clubs are just one place to meet these people, these experienced house flippers. You can also go to, you can call them the bandit signs, and there's other ways to find them. But the point is this: when you're talking to an experienced flipper and you're wanting them to be a partner with you, you tell them, I'm currently working on several deals, several wholesale deals. And when we sell this, we'll split this 50-50, 50% to you, 50% to me, 50% of the profit. I'll bring in the wholesale deals. I'll manage all the rehab expenses, all that whole process. I'll take care of the rehab. I'll market it. Once we're done with the rehab, I'll market it. I'll find buyers. I'll take care of all of that. I'll do all the lead work if you'll just use your experience when we talk to the private lender. So when we use the partner's experience, it puts the private lender much more at ease. So we also talked about being prepared when you talk to the private lender, especially when it comes to repairs. Okay, so be prepared, and because the private lender is going to ask about the repairs. In our example, we said, all right, well, this particular wholesale deal has $50,000, or one of our examples is $50,000 in rehab. Well, your private lender is probably going to ask you, well, how did you arrive at that number? You should not say, well, that's what the wholesaler said. No, what you need to do is you need to do a little bit of research on these rehabs or on these repairs. You could say, well, we're looking at the roof. We're going to replace the shingles. and the felt, and basically you've looked at the material cost. Okay, you've gone to, let's say, Lowe's or Home Depot or wherever you buy your materials, but you have researched the material cost. You've also researched the labor cost. Okay, so you're not just flying blindly on this thing. You know what you're going to repair in this particular deal, and you know the cost, the material cost and the labor cost. We're going to replace the kitchen tile, and this is what it costs. And on that particular project, the tile, we're going to use a handyman or handy person. And we're going to cut costs a little bit right there, but they're going to do a really good job. We're going to replace the appliances. We got a little bit of electrical work, and here's what that is going to cost. The point is, you've done your research, you've documented it, and you know what your rehab is going to be. Your rehab expenses. It's not, you're not just estimating, you're not just guessing. Now, you don't have to go in great detail, but certainly the higher end items, you need to certainly document that. The other thing is you want to research the ARV. You're looking at recent sold comps, and those sold comps should be 6 months or less, and they also should be within a 1 mile radius. If our house is a 4.2, well, the comps should be 4.2, etc. But the point is, when you talk to the private lender, you're well prepared and you can document all this stuff: material costs, labor costs, and the sold comps. Now, in our example, it's a seller's market, right? So the other thing when you're talking to the private lenders, you know what? When this is almost complete, when the rehab is almost complete, I'm going to put it on the market. And when it's 1 to 2 weeks from completion, I'm going to start marketing this thing, and I'm going to get several full price offers. And if that doesn't work, my backup plan is I'll just refinance. Okay? I'll just refinance out of this thing. Either way, whether we sell it quickly, and I'm almost positive we will because it's a seller's market, whether we sell it quickly or we have to refinance, we will make sure that you get all of your principal and all of your interest back. So you are secure. All right, at that point, you need to say, well, what do you think? And just be quiet and listen, okay? Because you want their feedback. Now, in a buyer's market, it's a totally different approach because we're buying at 60 to 65% of ARV, and we have a really good script for that as well. All right, so let's get into how you know what type of lender you're dealing with. All right. So reverse engineering is just one way to find private lenders. We also go face to face, and when you get face to face with a private lender, that's extremely powerful. We get face to face with seminars, meetings, and other live events, and you can read each other. You can see each other's facial expressions. It's just more of a warm and intimate type scenario. So face-to-face is really good. Now, how do you know what type of lender you're dealing with, right? Type of lender. Is this lender risk adverse? Or is this lender more of a risk taker? Okay? And what you do is you don't ask them that, but you ask a question that will lead you to the answer. And you basically said, are you currently investing in, or do you normally invest in the stock market? Or are you more interested in bonds and CDs, bank CDs? And you don't ask that right away. You wait till you're like 5 or 10 minutes into the conversation, then you ask them. So, hey, do you normally invest in the stock market or bank CDs and bonds, that type of thing? And they'll tell you. And if they're risk adverse, you know, that they're investing in bonds and CDs, you point out the 10% interest rate. And you tell them, say, hey, look, the vast majority of houses out there, banks lend on houses. I'm giving you the opportunity to be the bank and make 10%. And also, it's secured, right? It's secure enough for a normal conservative bank. Well, I'm offering you the opportunity to be the bank here. We're going to secure your loan, your investment with the house, and we're going to give you 10% interest rate. That's unheard of. So you're offering them that opportunity. All right, so for someone that takes more risks, they're invested in the stock market. And as we talked about earlier, you talk about that $80,000 discount. There's other things you can say, but that one is very good because you're walking into this deal at a discount, which they can't get on the stock market or in the stock market. The other thing that's very, very important is the advantages of using private lenders. So this is one thing that you really need to think about. So when you're borrowing from a private lender, they're basically lending their own money. Okay, there's no approval. They don't have to go to an underwriter. They don't have to go to a board of directors or get some committee's approval. If they give you the green light, then you got the money, and it's quick. It's usually 1, 2 days, 3 days at the max. I mean, all they do is they wire the money over to the title company and you got the cash. So it's a very quick, smooth transaction once they give you the green light. And it's just one person making that decision. The other thing is the personal relationship. You can build up rapport as long as you do what you say you're going to do. So you buy the house, you make the repairs, you flip it, you made money, you made them money, you're honest, you did what you were supposed to do. And over time, you can build up rapport. So, I mean, you can talk about things, interest, things that interest you, things that interest this other person. You can look at common ground. You can build up rapport over time. And usually it really doesn't take that long to build up rapport. And then your next deal, your next flip, it's almost like picking up the phone and say, hey, I got another one. You interested? And generally they're going to be interested because you made them money. They got their principal back. Plus you made them a lot of money here in a short period of time. All right, so lender. If the lender actually lives in your city, okay, lives in your city or in the same county, I would strongly suggest you consider taking them by that house before they actually lend on it. So I'm in Austin, right? So I'm buying wholesale deals in Austin, and if my private lender also lives in Austin or the surrounding county, real close, I'm going to consider driving by there and taking that private lender. I'm going to look at the house and the area, okay? So let's say it's in a pretty good area. And the house it's a pretty good house. I mean, it's not falling down. So if the house is looking pretty good, it needs some work, but it looks pretty good, and the area is good, I'm going to get in my car, I'm driving, the private lender's in the front seat, in the passenger seat, and they're looking around. And when we drive by, I'm going to say, hey, the school teacher lives over there. And, I'm going to point out the positive things about that area. The same with the house. I'm going to say, hey, it's got all this potential, yada, yada. So if the area is good and the house is pretty decent, consider driving by because this is huge. It puts them at ease and you're much more likely to get the money. Now, if the reverse is true, if you're buying in a really rough area or the house is about to fall down, then I wouldn't do that. So be careful when you're dealing with that. All right, but this is really powerful here. And don't forget to join my VIP club. We get wholesale house deals all over the country, and we also have access to lenders that will fund your wholesale deals. I'm also giving you a copy of my book for free. Go to freebook.getthedealsnow.com to get your free book now. And if you want to learn how to buy deeply discounted houses and flip them like a pro, start now by hitting the subscribe button so you don't miss anything. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.